Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Address the Always-On Issue Without Triggering the A17 Alteration Clause. We're so glad you could join us today for what is sure to be an interesting and informative webinar. Because we know you're busy professionals, we intend to cover topics in a careful and succinct way so that you can get back to doing what you do best, servicing your customers. You may be wondering, who is this voice I hear? Well, my name is Angela Von Dietrich. I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Electrodyne Systems. I joined the team this past November, and I'm so happy to be a part of this awesome team of professionals here at Electrodyne. I have a little over 18 years of experience in marketing and business development, where I served several industries, including manufacturing and service. I enjoy connecting with people and learning about the elevator industry, and this social aspect of my personality has, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, earned me the honor of becoming a top influencer in elevator and building groups. Believe me, I'm more of a ham than I care to admit. I'm joined today by Jim Marinelli, our chief engineer here at Electrodyne. Mr. Marinelli has been in the industry for many, many years. He began as a mechanic's helper in New York and then promoted to mechanic, supervisor, and eventually started Electrodyne Systems in 1987. Many of his products can be found in the most famous buildings in the world. He sits on the ASME board where he participates in code decisions related to elevator safety. In a few minutes, I'll be turning the reins over to Jim to talk about the alteration clause. So like I mentioned, we're going to cover some topics that we believe and hopefully are informational and useful to you. Our goal is to provide you with the knowledge about the current conservation landscape and hopefully show you how to cross that bridge on making this information not only useful and relevant, but also profitable. At the end of today's call, you'll be able to apply your knowledge about the alteration clause to discuss and demonstrate that your company has an energy-saving solution that's not only truly cost-effective, but also offers a lightning-fast return on investment. I'm going to show you some tools that you can use as an advantage to help meet your customers' energy conservation goals this year. Let me begin by asking everyone, if you had to guess, what is the total cost of energy for buildings today in the United States? Think about that energy bill. If all the buildings in the U.S. were combined together, what would that bill look like? Would you guess $100 million, $500 million, perhaps $1 billion? Would you believe that together buildings pay over $200 billion each year in the United States? According to a February article in Buildings magazine, buildings and facilities are spending over $200 billion in energy costs. That's a lot of energy, isn't it? In fact, in the United States, buildings consume 40% of total energy used. But when it comes to energy conservation, we're fifth in the world behind European Union, China, Japan, and Australia. And you know that we Americans like to be first at everything. So local, state, and federal governments are implementing ways to address this problem. And how do governments address problems? That's right, with legislation. That's right, and according to the United States Green Building Council, over 28 states have introduced more than 80 bills to entice buildings to reduce their energy consumption. They're introducing standards and offering tax incentives for buildings to reduce energy. For those of you who are plugged into those building consortium emails, newsletters, magazines, and websites, you already know then that energy conservation is a big topic. You might even say it's the topic of conversation for the building industry. And according to the February edition of Buildings magazine, over half of buildings in the United States have made goals to reduce their carbon footprint. 13% have active plans right now in the works. So it's not just legislation that's driving this cause. Buildings are realizing that there are hidden values associated with conservation that make a positive impact to their bottom line. Material costs in the form of replacing HVAC equipment, lighting, and the like are important factors. Reduced human resource costs are another, and overall they're seeing that the value of their building increases with these smart investments. Did you know that according to Facility Zone, the term retrofit is routinely the #1 search term? What this means to me is for service companies whose main customer is a building or property manager, but selling energy conservation products and technologies are easy pickings, so to speak, from a sales perspective. But the elevator industry has a problem. We're caught in a catch-22 of sorts. Only about 5% of elevators in operation today have energy conservation capabilities, and there's a reason for that. Energy savings was limited to replacing the elevator controller and/or motor drives, and as you know, this can be expensive and time-consuming. It's hard to explain to a building or property manager that their return on investment won't be realized for many years. Some say around 25 years, if at all. The most important problem that service companies face is that dreaded alteration clause. For the next few slides, I'd like to turn the mic over to Jim. He's much more technical than I am, and he's going to talk to you about the alteration clause.
Thank you, Angela. In the next few slides, I'm going to talk about A17.1 Alteration Clause. In this slide, you can see that the Alteration Clause states, when any alteration is performed, regardless of any other 8.7 requirement, the installation, as a minimum, shall conform to the following applicable code requirements: the code at the time of installation, the code requirements for the alteration at the time of any alteration, A17.3 if adopted by the AHJ. What this means is, if you have a customer that wants to shut off their energy to save a few bucks, then they have to bring the entire elevator system up to current code. The ends don't justify the means. Not only that, but it triggers a domino effect. The entire building must be brought up to code. For existing buildings, this simply isn't a justification. Based on this criteria, the building could spend an enormous amount of money in addition to the elevator upgrade cost. It becomes obvious, even to the casual observer, that this return on investment from an energy conservation standpoint is non-existent. What conclusion can be drawn from this? Number one, full modernization is not a good road to go down if energy conservation is the goal. Number two, and most important, without a substantial return on investment, most buildings are reluctant to consider a full modernization with the object in mind of energy conservation. How do we provide some form of energy conservation to building owners, which will allow them to comply with new energy standards, but moreover reap the benefit of the tax incentives that both state and federal governments are now offering? The obvious answer is to add a retrofit solution that avoids triggering 8.7 Alteration Clause. The most obvious area in any elevator system to conserve energy is to shut off the energy consumption devices whenever possible, without altering the operation of the control system. Car lighting and ventilation is one of those areas where this can be accomplished with relative ease. Utilizing a small device, which is fully code compliant and installs in a short length of time, is the optimum choice for two reasons. One, cost of the device and installation is minimal. Two, the return on investment can be realized in under 5 years. In some cases, the ROI can be gained in as little as 2.5 years. Electrodyne has developed such a device and has incorporated many of the standard features we are best known for. Features such as universal power supplies, inputs, which will operate on any standard voltage encountered in the control system. A universal input array, which allows the monitoring of signals required by the code without loading the control system. We can also interface to all control systems. Plus, Electrodyne provides a marked up set of prints which takes all the guesswork out of the installation, thus shortening installation time. Always On can be managed by simply monitoring the points required by the code without making any alterations to the control operation. The return on investment can be accelerated by keeping the cost of equipment low. The bottom line to the buildings is lower energy cost. At about half the size of a piece of paper, the Energy Saver 2 can be easily installed in most COPs, thus saving installation time. No matter what motor room wiring is required. Installation diagrams are always included. Reduced elevator downtime during installation is always a factor. These are some of the benefits derived from using an Electrodyne retrofit such as the Energy Saver 2. As with all of Electrodyne's retrofits, flexible design is the key to superior products. When elevator people with first-hand field experience have input in the design process, good things happen. Our Energy Saver 2 not only monitors the 4 areas required by the code, but we also monitor fire service and call button activity as well. We can even monitor the rear doors when required, and some of our logic can be reversed when appropriate in certain systems by the switching of a board jumper. Due to our extensive print library, 16,000 prints on file and counting, we are the only manufacturer that can support the field installer with actual job print references, regardless of the control type, and our one-on-one support is unparalleled. The Energy Saver 2 takes advantage of the newest technology in monitoring for passengers on board. If a passenger is detected by the passive infrared sensor array, the car door must recycle, that is, open and reclose, before the time sequence can be re-engaged, thus preventing a condition which might lead to light and fan shutdown with a trapped passenger. It is quite possible to experience an entrapment even when the code-mandated monitoring functions are met. Thus, the introduction of not only the PIR, but fail-safe internal logic is the key to a safe yet effective energy-saving device. The shut-off time is adjustable from 5 minutes to 5 hours and is recycled in 0.2 of a second as per code requirements. Now that you know a little bit about the product, I would like Angela to take the reins and tell you about the tools she's developed to aid in your presenting this exciting new product to your clients.
Thanks, Jim. Wow, that was really informative. And we're almost at the end of our session today, but stay tuned. The next few slides I'll be covering sales tools that you can use, including an ROI assessment that you can use to demonstrate the return on investment to your customers, as well as a real customer case study. So in our experience, we found that providing a customer with a couple simple pieces of information has the best chance of making an impact. We have 2 powerful documents that you can use to make your energy conservation point. The first is the Energy Saver 2 brochure. The brochure essentially covers the features we discussed today, the fast installation, flexible design, and advanced technology. And I can send you, free of charge, as many of these brochures as you'd like. The second sales tool, and perhaps the most compelling item, is the Energy Reduction and Cost Savings Assessment tool. It is a fully customizable assessment that you can prepare and send to each of your customers to show them exactly what they can expect in cost savings. We can send you the assessment along with the how to use it instructions. As you can hopefully see, it was difficult to blow this up large enough, but hopefully everyone can see it. This is a how-to that's going to explain where you fill in the customer's unique information. And the assessment tool will automatically calculate the cost savings for you. Here's one snapshot of an assessment that was done for the Miami-Dade school system last week. This particular company oversees the elevators for approximately 300 elevators in the county. The total wattage of each elevator's lights and fans was 205 watts. This included 2 40-watt lights and a 1/5 horsepower fan, which converts to 125 watts. We then calculated the amount of time the elevator was not in use when the fans and the lights were still running. And including weekends, that gave us 15 mean or average hours each day when the elevators were not in use. In other words, we calculated the downtime for 5 days during school time and added the weekend downtime to it. Then we plugged in the kilowatt hour for this county, which is 12 cents. By plugging in the wattage, downtime, and kilowatt hour rate, the assessment tool automatically calculated the return on investment. It even broke down the cost savings by month, year, 5-year, and 20-year lifetime of the elevator. This elevator service company intends to present this to their contact at the school, along with the brochure. Additionally, and you may have seen this announcement, This service company intends to include the Electrodyne Women's Business Certification along with the assessment because this customer is a school system. With these 3 tools, you can impact your sales efforts in a positive way. I encourage everyone on the call today to prepare an assessment for each of your customers. And at the end of the call today, I'll email the links to these forms for you to download. And in the end, we realize that by enabling you with the tools you need to be successful, that we all will be successful in achieving not only your sales goals, but making the world a greener place in which to live. Because you attended today, you'll receive this assessment. And I'd also encourage you to request as many brochures as you'd like and ask the people who you encounter to leave behind a brochure. For those of you who have newsletters, luncheons, and other customer-related events, this assessment could be converted into an actual case study of one of your customers. You could prepare a sample assessment, then show your customers how others have saved money with the Energy Saver 2 solution. This is the time to position your services to include energy conservation with a product line that offers a great return on investment and that also does not affect the alteration clause. I'm currently working with several offices in the U.S. and abroad to help them prepare and implement communication strategies, and I'm a resource for you as well. Please feel free to email me with questions, and I'm happy to work with you one-on-one. And for those of you who are here today, I'd like to offer you the Energy Saver to try it for free. Take it, install it, and let me know what you think. And if you'd like to have a free 30-day trial, then please ask me or send an email to sales@electrodyne.com. At this point, I'm sure a number of you have questions. If you haven't already done so, please send us a question using the question box in your webinar control panel.